Welcome to Onslow County Today. I'm your host, Lisa Whitman-Grice, and you can see that once again we're getting out and exploring Onslow County's back roads and highways, finding different things for you to do here in our Onslow County. On this edition of Onslow County Today, we're going to be visiting with Carolyn Dunlap and some families from Onslow County's foster family program. We'll also be visiting with Lisa Brown and Karen Springfield from Onslow County Youth Services. We'll talk with Dr. Diana Rashash about alligator weed and what to do about it. We'll also visit with Onslow County GIS and ITS about an award that they've received. And finally, we'll talk with Jason McCrae with Onslow County Park and Recreation to find out about getting ready for back to school. As always, we're so glad you're here for Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Carolyn Dunlap with Onslow County Department of Social Services. Carolyn, welcome back. We're so glad to see you.
Thank you, Lisa.
And thanks for coming out to this beautiful spot.
On this warm summer day.
Exactly, but that's why we love it here. That's why we love it here, and that's why we want to talk about the beauty of building families in Onslow County, because this is such the perfect place.
It is.
And we all know we all have perfect families, right? Perfect, 100%, no flaws, no anything, right?
Some families do have flaws.
Or not flaws, but maybe imperfections.
Yes.
But that doesn't matter because all families have different pieces, parts, and makeups.
That is correct.
So we want to talk about how you all work to build families from all kinds of pieces and all kinds of imperfect pieces, sort of like our china in our hutch, right? Yes. So Carolyn, we want to talk to you about what your job is really with DSS, and you brought some very special guests that we're going to get to meet in a little bit, and we can hear some of our special guests off in the distance. But the first thing is, tell our viewers who might not be familiar with what DSS does with our foster families, and tell us a little bit about you. So you've been with DSS how long?
This is my third time coming back to Onslow County Department of Social Services, and this third time I've been with the agency for almost 13 and a half years.
That's wonderful.
So not counting the previous times that I've been with Onslow County DSS.
All right. And your role, your title with DSS now?
My title is Social Work Supervisor. I supervise the foster care licensing program with Onslow County DSS. Okay,
so when we think about foster families, what we want to really address today is the need for foster families in Onslow County in Eastern North Carolina, the support services that you all provide for families who say, I'm going to make that leap and I'm going to reach out and become part of that foster family services, and then really what you want to impart to our viewers about if they're curious, if they're so close, they really have thought about it, but what's really going to make them make that leap. So the first thing is, let's talk about need, first and foremost here in Onslow County for foster families.
There's an ongoing need for foster parents in Onslow County. We would like to keep the children of Onslow County in Onslow County.
Right.
We presently now have about 32 licensed foster homes. So we're always recruiting to get families to become licensed foster parents.
Okay. Now you mentioned, you've got 32 families and that they are licensed foster parents.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we make that clear to our viewers that this isn't, I show up at your office, I say, hey, I'm ready to be a foster parent. What does it really entail?
Well, individuals who have an interest in becoming a foster parent, there is an application that they have to complete. They have to be willing to have a criminal background check done. Also, we provide 30 hours training course called TIPS MAP, and is pretty much trauma informed, pretty much preparing individuals who want to become foster parents of how to care for children who have been traumatized.
Right, right, certainly. You know, we talked a little bit about this notion of imperfection versus perfection, and certainly we don't take it lightly that families don't have to be perfect, but they have to be prepared and flexible. Talk about some of the things that you all provide in those continuing education, those 30 hours of training.
The ongoing process that we do, there is a licensed foster care social worker assigned to the prospective parent. Once they are fully licensed, we actually make sure that they continue to receive ongoing training. There is a stipend that they will receive for a child coming into their home. The licensed social worker will make home visits. So as far as being a support for our licensed foster parents, we are a big support for our foster parents. Pretty much, you know, to try to meet their needs in order to adequately care for the children in their care.
Now, you mentioned 32 licensed parents, but how many children?
It is right now 191 children in foster care.
And many of those children do have to go beyond the borders of Onslow County.
Yes, we do have to place children outside of the county through private agencies. Some of the children also require a higher level of care. So a lot of our children are placed outside of the county.
And you know, and you said what, 191?
191.
191 children. What ages?
The ages pretty much vary. We have infants up to children who are 17 years old.
You know, you mentioned the need for families and the need to recruit. If you were to share with our viewers, for those folks watching who say, you know, I've thought about it, maybe I'm an empty nester, or maybe, you know, I've just not had children until this point in my life, and this is something that has sort of nagged at me that maybe this is what I'm being called to do. What would you say to those folks who want to know more, who think that maybe they want to make that leap?
If you're actually thinking about it, then that tells me that you do have an interest to become a foster parent. I encourage individuals who have that interest to go ahead and follow through with the process, because who knows?
Right.
You will probably be one of those foster parents that would be awesome with teens, which that is our greatest need. We need foster homes who will be willing to care for teens. Also, foster homes who will be willing to care for sibling groups. So I would encourage anyone who has that slightest interest of becoming a foster parent to contact Onslow County Department of Social Services and make an inquiry. I can provide my contact information.
Please do.
You can also reach me, Carolyn Dunlap, at 219-1816, and that's an area code of 910.
All right.
You would have to be a resident of Onslow County to look at becoming a foster parent.
Now, you all, and when you say that in the licensure and the training, there are different kind of categories, if you will, for foster families. So you have family placements, you have, as you said, sibling placements. There's also foster to adopt. What are some really those levels or tiers that you all do provide those services for?
Whenever someone makes an inquiry to become a foster parent, I will ask, do you want to foster or do you want to foster to adopt? Pretty much most of our foster parents are foster to adopt, which means that you can have a child placed in your home, and the primary plan may change from reunification or custody with a relative to adoption. At that point, the foster parent can be considered as a family to adopt that child that's been in their home.
Okay.
But there is a process with that.
So there is, and you're going to walk those people through that. They're not going to come in cold, and
No.
you're there for continual
Yes.
support.
Yeah.
Carolyn, what we want to do is we're going to take a little break, and we're going to meet some of those families that you've helped walk that path.
Okay.
To foster family, and we're going to meet them and talk about their experience, and I'm sure they're going to make the same appeal that you've made, that the children of Onslow County need them. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Hattie Angel. Hattie is one of our foster parents here in Onslow County, and Hattie, thank you first and foremost for what you're doing for the children of Onslow County.
You're welcome.
We want to talk about your path, how you came to be a foster parent, your experience, the children that you have welcomed into your home and into your heart, and then of course we're going to ask you about making that appeal to those in our community who might be considering being a foster parent. So first and foremost, Hattie, I have to find out, when did you decide to be a foster parent?
I decided in 2010 to become a foster parent. I saw an advertisement on the TV. They were asking for people within the community to attend foster training. And I was about to retire, and I said, well, that would give me something else to do.
Right.
So I decided to participate in the training class, and from there I got sold on trying to help the kids and provide a loving and caring environment for them. Yes.
So almost, 2010,
Yes.
so almost 10 years of caring for foster children, creating a home for them. When you made that decision, you said you were about to retire. Was there hesitancy? Did you think, I'm going to do this, but
It was
gosh,
a little
it's-
hesitancy because I didn't know, they talked about all the different age groups.
Right.
And I said, well, if I get the infants and the little smaller ones, I have a better chance at making sure that the situation gels, right?
Right.
So I started off with infants and toddlers, and then I kind of migrated, and I've like fostered various age groups.
So life has a funny way of changing our plans. You were going to start out with infants and toddlers and older kiddos, and now I find out that you have 3 teens that are currently calling your home their home.
Absolutely. I started fostering teens about 5 years ago, and I started off with 1 male.
Mm-hmm.
And the social worker called because his foster parents were moving because of the military. So he had to find a place to stay. So they called and asked me if I would take him. And I said, no, I don't think so. I don't want to try a teenager. And then the social worker said, well, you can come meet him. I know you'd like him, and you'll probably want him in your home. So I did meet him. He was very mannerable, a nice young man. So I took him in, and he stayed with me for 4 years, graduated from high school, and then went on from there. And then while he was in my home, I took on 2 more boys, and most of my foster kids have been males.
Congratulations for taking him to his next life's journey.
Yes.
So mostly males, and currently right now you have 3 children?
Yes, I have 2 males and 1 female.
Okay.
Yes.
And ages?
13, 14, and the female is 17.
So folks would say that teenagers can be challenging.
Very much so.
I say that as a mother of teenagers, they present their own special challenges that, are different from a toddler, but not necessarily,
Well, teenagers, they'll test you.
Mm-hmm.
They're very inquisitive, and they're good conversationalists. You can always learn something from a
Sure.
teenager. So with the infants, you have to, it's so much hands-on.
Right.
But with the teenagers, it's a little bit less hands-on once they know what's expected of them. So my job is to help them gain job skills, life skills that can help them once they reach adulthood. And that's what I'm doing. I try to help them find employment, help them with resume writing, and also discuss college.
Right.
So
right.
we try to put them on a path to be successful, even though they may be reunified with their own parents. But in the meantime, you do what you can to make sure that if they are reunified, then they can live a life that's stronger and better than what they came from previously.
What a wonderful, stronger and better,
Yes.
which is what we want for all of our children, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're talking to our viewers and they're saying, I just don't know, Hattie. I don't know if it's for me. What would you want them to do?
I say take a chance. Everyone needs an opportunity to have a loving and caring environment to grow up in. If you are a single parent or come from a two-family parent, or if you have children that's teenagers or younger, usually the kids get along with other children and they have something that can engage them with. And as a foster parent, I think that it will pay off when you see the accomplishments that you make just having the children in your home.
Well, thank you for what you've done, and good luck to your teens as they're making this leap to young adulthood.
Yes.
And thank you most of all for sharing with our viewers what it means to open your heart and open your home.
Well, thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and joining us now are Jerome and Kathy Adams, and the happy, just angelic voices, silly voices that are behind us are your kiddos, your
Yes.
children and grandchildren, and we want to talk about your walk as a foster family, as foster parents. The first thing we want to talk about is when you all made that decision, because your path has kind of migrated, if you will, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So the first thing is, when did you all become a foster family?
2015.
2015. And in that decision to be a foster family, y'all from Onslow County or relocated here?
No, we were relocated here from Virginia.
Okay, came here with the service?
As a contractor, yes.
As a contractor, so came here to Onslow County. What was it about the need here in Onslow County, or what did you see? What was that moment that you made that connection and said, this is what we need to do as a family?
We used to watch television all the time in Virginia, and also our churchgoers, and we would see, it was a series called Wednesday's Child,
Okay.
and it touched our heart every time, and we kind of hit that stage in life that, you know what, I think we're being called to do more than just watch the TV and go, aw.
And so something was speaking to you, something
Absolutely.
was touching you all in a way, and then when you got here, you saw a need, you found a need found you. What was that process for you all?
Well, once we got here, we applied at the county to be foster, go through the foster course, and just so happens after we applied, there was a long wait, 6 months wait. We hadn't heard anything, and then within our own family, we had a need to take in our grandsons. So we took custody of our grandsons, and then we actually petitioned the court to adopt them. And then after they were already in the home, then we got a call from Onslow County saying, hey, are you guys ready to start the class? So we went through the class and became foster parents. So we got to kind of do both at the same time.
So your path, you came at it in one direction.
Right.
Life said, hey, got something else in mind for you.
Exactly.
In that process, you know, we were talking off camera that family is family is family, no matter how the pieces come together.
Right.
Talk a little bit about the pieces that have come together in your home, from your little guys to now you've become foster parents and you're inviting other children into your heart and into your home.
Well, we're celebrating August 20th. It'll be a year finalized for the adoption of our grandsons. We've also been able to help several other children along the way with respite from young ages to 17, helping them to make sure they graduate high school and can progress on in life. And now we're still open to taking more children, and we're very pleased that our grandsons are very open to taking
Right.
in children and want to help.
You know, I love visiting with them a little bit earlier. We were talking about this openness. Children are children and say, hey, want to play? I mean, it doesn't, you know, all pieces, parts. But, you know, one thing that we want to address is sometimes it's not the kiddos who say, come on in. Sometimes we're met with obstacles from adults who maybe don't quite understand exactly how to talk about your family.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that awkwardness and maybe what you would love for people to know, that mindfulness, to just stop and think, how can I be more sensitive to the walk that this family has taken?
Well, like you said, every family is different. It doesn't, you know, so the first thing I would say is within our family, our grandsons, who are now our sons,
Right.
they are sensitive to it. If somebody says, are these your, you know, your grandkids, and we answer yes, they will correct us and no, we're your sons. So they have taken on the role as, hey, they're our kids now.
Right,
You know, they are very open, like my wife said, open to other kids coming in, and they've learned to be very sensitive to other kids in similar situations.
Right.
You know, here in Onslow County, I mean, I know there's a huge need here in Onslow County, just like other places, but you know, I would say that for the most part, we haven't had any issues with folks on the outside. Most people just see our family as a blended family, and that's all they see, and they don't know the backstory, which they don't need to know the backstory. But we notice other families more, and we always wonder, like, wow, I wonder if they're adopted, you know, and we just, you know, which we think is awesome, you know.
What's your story? What's
Right.
your story?
Yeah.
And everybody has their own
That's
one to
right.
tell. So we know that your sons are relatively little guys, you know, under 10.
Right.
How do they think when you bring a teenager in the house?
They thought it was great, but they wanted to know, well, how come he can have his electronics at the dinner table?
Ah,
Right.
sounds
That was
familiar.
their biggest concern out of
Biggest
everything.
concern.
Yep.
Right. So how come he gets his phone or they get their phone?
Yes.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. Kids are kids are kids.
Kids are kids. They call you on what they perceive.
You know, you all have built a beautiful blended family. We always say at our house, mix and stir.
Yep.
Right.
It's like baking a cake, mix
Right.
and stir. What would you tell families who are thinking about maybe their path is like yours? It might be foster to adopt, or it might be with a family placement, or it might just be opening your heart and your home to a child that they've never encountered in any way before. What would you all tell them?
I would tell, you know, anybody, first of all, if you have a spot, a space in your home that's not being filled, reach out, help somebody. You know, it's really sad when you turn the TV on and you see all of these kids out here and you hear the stories, you know, kids with no homes, and, you know, so that's the least we can do. You know, even the Bible tells us we should, you know, take in the orphans and widows. So that's kind of us doing our, just as human beings, you know, just taking care of one another. It's not an easy process necessarily, because they're, you know, people, takes people out of their comfort zone, but Onslow County does have the resources to train you, to support you, and there's other foster parents like us out there who will gladly answer questions if you have any questions, what it's like, what's it really like. Just, you know, talk to other foster parents.
You know, what it's really like. Kathy, we were talking off camera earlier, and you said, it's well and good when people say, oh, that's awesome, you guys, you're so great. But you want them to do a little bit more than just pat you on the back.
I said the awesomes are welcomed, but I'd also like to see some action behind them. So maybe not everyone can be a foster parent, but our community could do a lot more to help the foster children. I'm an advocate for maybe some sensitivity training in our school systems to identify when a child's all of a sudden placed in the middle of the year,
Right.
and be sensitive to their comfort levels, because some of these small children have a lot on their shoulders that maybe the other children don't have, and we need some sensitivity to that.
Yeah, when we were speaking with Carolyn earlier, she was talking about, so many of these children come from a place of trauma.
Exactly.
And trauma doesn't show on the outside all the time. Sometimes it's just there. So just being open and aware. And if you've got a spot or a space in your heart or in your home,
That's right.
just give them a call.
Give it a try. And we weren't perfect at it. We weren't somebody that
Not
said
perfect?
from the beginning, wow, this is our calling. But if something's nudging on your heart, listen to it.
Well, when y'all meet perfect parents, give me a call, because
Exactly.
that's a tough act to follow there,
know.
perfect parenting. Thank you all. Thank you for bringing your family to join us today. This is a pretty good place to just hang out.
It is. This is a great park. I'd also advocate if Onslow County could maybe have some scholarships for foster children so that they can sign up for the T-balls and the basketballs.
Soccer.
Those are all great
We
ideas.
would really appreciate the help as foster families.
Well, we can all, as the saying goes, it takes a village.
Takes a village.
Absolutely.
Takes a village, and thank you all for building your own family, your own village, and
Thank
we
you.
all link them together. Thank you all for what you do, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
welcome.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us are friends from Onslow County Youth Services. We have Lisa Brown and Karen Springfield. We are so glad that you all came out to enjoy this beautiful day with us. Thank you all.
Thank you for having us.
We're in the end of summertime. We're getting ready for the school year, and I know that Youth Services does so much in our community with our teens, and a lot of that has to do with prepping for school and providing them that place, that very special landing place. And we want to talk about your very important program called STEPS. Before we talk about it and who can participate and who's eligible, we want to know a little bit more about you all. So Lisa, tell us, how long have you been with Youth Services and what's your official title?
Well, I actually have only been with Youth Services for a couple of months now.
Okay,
And my title is social worker.
social worker. Okay, and Ms. Karen?
I'm also a social worker with Onslow County Youth Services, and I've been there over 2 years.
Over 2 years. So when we want folks to first and foremost want to understand what Youth Services is, what would kind of be your definition? What's the best introduction you can give us to Youth Services, Karen?
Well, I would say Youth Services, we basically serve teens that probably need an little extra help to reaching their goals. And we address behaviors that are concerning to their parents and other adults in the community, and maybe some negative school behaviors or some things that are going on at home. We really try to help the kids get back on the right track.
All right, and Lisa, when we think about that, are these children who have already been touched, been in the court system in some capacity, or are we trying to serve as intervention for that?
Well, we have some programs that are early intervention for children with risky behaviors, but we also do work with children who are involved in the juvenile justice system.
In the juvenile justice system. So we want to talk specifically about a program that you all have created called STEPS. And am I right in assuming that's an acronym?
Yes, it is.
Okay, tell me what STEPS means.
Okay, STEPS is Skills to Enhance Personal Success.
Skills. And you know what? We all need those steps, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And sometimes there are those of us who maybe miss a step or two and trip. So you all are here to help us get back on track. Lisa, when we think about the STEPS program, those steps towards success, personal success, and those skill set, who are you looking to have participate in that program?
Well, this is a program for teenagers, high school age primarily, who are showing some risky behaviors, maybe identified by the parents or the schools, or they can be low level with juvenile justice. And they're referred, like I said, by parents, school personnel, the juvenile justice court counselors.
And if they're referred to the program, what's the next kind of block that they need to, building block that you all work with them on? What is the process? So a parent says, I'm concerned, a teacher says, I'm concerned, a guidance counselor says, I feel like my child could really benefit, and we can make a change, we can turn this around. What's the next really kind of step for us?
So STEPS is a 3-part approach to helping the youth redefine their role, both in the home and in the community.
Okay.
So we approach that through skill building, so self-management skills, thinking through decisions, a little bit of anger management, or stress management, because a lot of times anger masks stress that's also happening in the home or in school. And then we also have a community service project and support. So our community service project, we really try to help connect them and maybe even help them to build connections outside in the community. So once they're done with us, they still have an adult in their life that can help them continue on helping them reach their goals.
Very good.
And then we have also support. So we'll be doing kind of also meeting with their families and letting their families know what they're learning, and any questions or concerns that parents have, we'll be addressing those with them as well. And also seeing them in school. So
Okay.
There'll be some case management as well, getting them connected to any services that are needed to help them as well.
So a parent first refers, or a teacher or someone refers them to your program. You do kind of an assessment and you say, okay, this is what we're going to focus on. What's the timeline for that, Lisa? I mean, if they're signed up for the STEP program, is it a weekly meeting? Is it a daily? What is kind of the time frame for what parents can expect?
Well, it is a 12-week program. We meet with the group once a week for a couple of hours after school. And then we will also, as Karen said, meet with their families and also visit them in school.
Okay. And you said 12 weeks. So is there a jumping off date, a hard and fast jumping off date, and it runs for 12 weeks? And when would that be?
Well, we haven't quite set the specific date. We're waiting on the referral process. But once, it should be in August, sometime mid-August, and then it will run 12 consecutive weeks.
All right. And is there a limit, Karen, to the number of students who can participate in the program? Do you have a finite group size that you think is going to work best for you?
What our target is 6 to 8 youth, and what we'd like is for that to be comprised mostly of kids referred from the juvenile justice system.
Okay.
But there are slots available for parent-referred youth or SROs in the school or parents. We're one of the only programs that parents can self-refer to.
Okay.
And so we offer that as well, but most of our funding and our focus is going to be for those youth already involved in the court system.
All right. So we can, as you said, this early intervention, we don't want, we always think about forks in the road, and this is an opportunity to take a different path.
Yes.
A different path. In that 12 weeks, you talked about some of the things that they can expect. So when you picture week 12, what does it look like to you?
Week 12 to me is them being able to express themselves with respect for the person that they're talking to. And when they're angry, we all get angry, and maybe accepting that and being able to deal with that before responding or reacting, and sort of thinking through that, and really just stopping and thinking through their behaviors, or maybe what is the root cause of those behaviors.
Right. So that they can kind of, as you said, self-manage and be mindful, which is tough. I mean, when you're 16, your mind is on lots and lots of other things.
Right.
Not maybe that I've chosen the right words to properly express myself.
Right.
I mean, we all know it's tough being 16.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about with the helping them transition from an adolescent to an adult, because those high school, that's going to come quick. And we want to set them up for success once they leave high school.
Very good. Now, there are those parents out there who are saying, this sounds maybe like this is the answer for my child. Is there a fee involved, though, to participate?
No fee.
All of our services at youth services are free.
So there's nothing to really preclude me from giving you all a call and saying, I think really our family, not just our child, but our family could benefit from that. How do they reach you all to find out more and to talk about what they should do next?
So, of course, our phone number, we're also on the county website.
Sure.
So our phone number is 910-455-1202. And they can ask just about wanting to refer to the STEPS program, and they'll be connected with us.
All right, so we're going to all look at taking next steps and getting those skills that it needs. This is going to kick off in August this month. Going to run 12 weeks. Is this a pilot program? Is this a program that you all have done in previous years? Tell me a little bit more about the history of STEPS.
The North Carolina legislature passed the Raise the Age bill, and so now juveniles start from the age has moved from 16 to 18. That juveniles can be charged as an adult. And so this program is to address that population specifically.
Okay.
So this is a brand new program to address them. We have other programs that address younger adolescents, but this is specifically to address the older kids.
All right. Well, Lisa Brown and Karen Springfield, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for the youth in Onslow County. As I always say, we're not raising tall children, we're raising adults. And you all are making that process for so many children in our area easier and showing them the path. So thank you for what you're doing. Of course, we want to visit you later on in the fall and do a little bit of a follow-up and see how STEPS went this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you both. Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is one of our familiar friends, Dr. Diana Rashash from Onslow County Cooperative Extension. Dr. Diana, you were sitting over there in the shade, and I've pulled you out to stand on this hill, but you know, this is one of my favorite environments because you know this 10 times better than I do. What is surrounding us? These are trees, and these are my favorite trees, Dr. Diana.
You like the loblollies and the longleafs.
Here's to the land of the longleaf pine. We want to talk, though, about maybe some plants that aren't our favorite. You know, I just left our Environmental Education Center where I've been talking to kiddos this week about the beautiful rivers that we have here in Onslow County and the habitats that we provide. But sometimes we encounter some flora and fauna that are not indigenous to Onslow County that maybe create some headaches. And the first thing we want to always harken back to is good old alligator weed.
That's one of our favorites to dislike. Yes, so alligator weed we've had in the United States for over 100 years now.
Okay.
So originally from Brazil.
Okay.
And I think it got into Florida around the early 1900s.
Okay.
And it's loved our southern states.
And explain what is alligator weed. It's not an indigenous plant, but explain a little bit what it is and what makes it so invasive and why we're troubled by it.
All right. It's a plant you may have seen along ditches or the rivers or around your pond. It is green-leaved. It has a white clover-like flower, which is very definitive for identifying what the plant looks like. And like some plants have opposite leaves or alternate leaves, this one has opposite leaves.
Okay.
And it's problematic not because of the flower, because the flower is sterile, so it does not reproduce by seed. It reproduces by fragmentation.
Okay, so, I'm going to go in there and just tear it out.
Or weed whack it.
Or weed whack it.
Don't do that.
That's probably not the right behavior.
No,
not
it
the
is
right
not.
course of action.
No, because every single one of those nodes where those leaves are can root and form a new plant. So if you cut it all up or broke it up and then it rained and you had a small patch and now it's all along your ditch, it has the potential of forming new plants all the way along there.
So I went from a small patch to a big patch.
Yes, ma'am.
And I did it to myself.
Yes, ma'am.
So there has to be a better course of action. What do we need to do about these tribbles, if you will, that are just making their way out and about?
Spreading around. They can spread many, many feet across a waterway in just a summer. They die back during the winter, but their roots are down in there deep, which is another problem because if people are clearing out their ditches and they take that material out of the ditch and put it up on land, they can be transferring the alligator weed up to land because although it loves the water, and when it's over the water, it has nice thin leaves and a hollow stem. When it goes up on land, the stem becomes more solid and the leaves become thicker and waxier. So it adjusts for living in terrestrial as well as living in the aquatic environment.
So like a lot of non-indigenous invasive species, it just adapts, and it's not in all fragile.
No, it comes back.
It comes back, and it says, and sometimes with a vengeance.
It does. So chemically, people have been treating it for decades. It's not an eradication, it's more of a control.
Okay.
Two chemicals that the southeastern section here of North Carolina has used for years have been glyphosate, as well as imazapyr. So with those, you have to go out repeatedly at intervals. So with the glyphosate, you might have to go out every 2 weeks to try to spray it to control it, but it does not get rid of it. So the state, counties, and municipalities can spend thousands of dollars each year trying to control the plant that they have to keep putting into their budget to do that. So the fact that there are a couple of insects that like to help us in that battle has been promising. One that we tried for about a decade, so beginning around 2006 through 2015, we were trying alligator weed flea beetles, or those little tiny 1/4 inch long black and yellow beetles that the Army Corps of Engineers was catching with nets down in Florida Everglades area, and they'd ship them to municipalities and counties to disperse.
Right.
Unfortunately, they're also from Brazil, and they think it gets a little bit chilly here in the wintertime, even though we are as far southeast as we are in North Carolina. So after putting them out for a decade, we have not been able to form a stable population. So that wasn't doing as much as we had hoped.
Okay.
And then we got something else.
Okay, a new to us little creature that maybe isn't as doesn't need a sweater like the beetle there. So what have you found?
We have found the alligator weed thrip. Now, when you say thrip, a lot of people go, no, what it'll get into? Because thrips like to stick their mouth parts into leaves and suck the juices out and cause the leaf to wilt and the plant not to do well. The alligator weed thrip just feeds on alligator weed.
Okay.
It was intentionally released in several states back in the 60s, such as Florida, Texas, Louisiana area, but none had ever been released in North Carolina. So we think in 2015, when we got a shipment of flea beetles, that they might have hitchhiked along because we put one of the little takeout type containers that they ship the flea beetles to us in the stormwater pond at our office. And we didn't put any out in 16, 17, or 18. But we noticed the alligator weed kept getting sick. At least I thought it was sick. I didn't know what it was. So we sent samples off to both the Plant Disease and Insect Clinic up in Raleigh and to the Army Corps of Engineers lab down in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and they both said the same thing. Alligator weed thrips.
So you had a hitchhiking thrip.
Yes, we think
hanging
so.
out with some flea beetles.
Correct.
Flea beetles said, too cold for me.
We don't have a single flea beetle in that area.
But your alligator weed was not thriving, which is what we want.
Exactly.
And you said, why is this? And lo and behold,
we had the thrips.
you had the thrip.
So it turns out that forebay of that stormwater pond is Site 0 for the state of North Carolina.
Okay.
We shared them with the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Science, so they could also breed them, and they have since done some releases. And we've been doing releases in, Brunswick, New Hanover, Onslow, Carteret, Craven, Chowan, Camden, and Pasquotank.
So to sound like a teenager,
Okay.
that is so extension of you. So Dr. Diana, you've done these partnerships with other counties, these releases, but for the average person who maybe doesn't live near a creek or doesn't have a ditch, in their nearby vicinity, and say, but why does this matter to me? Why is alligator weed a problem in my life?
Well, one is flooding control issues, because alligator weed can really block off a waterway, and if it ever decides it wants to start raining again for us, one year too much, 1 year too little. The flow, the alligator weed plant is able to block up or stop the flow, especially if it gets into culvert pipes, a mass of it, wads
absolutely.
up in there. It forms floating mats and are able to move around and spread themselves that way. So they're able to cause flow issues, which can cause flooding issues.
Okay.
The other thing is the alligator weed makes wonderful mosquito habitat, and we don't want that.
All right, so you all, in true extension fashion, are planting, let me make sure I say it, thrips.
Yes. Not exactly planting, they're little critters, so they don't
little
fly,
critters.
so we have to take them to the alligator weed.
So take them to you're transplanting them, so to speak, or relocating and placing them in where you see this this alligator weed in hopes that they're gonna latch on, suck all the
moisture out of the plant and cause it to not thrive.
Okay. So as you're doing this, what is the season for that? When could we see some results? You're kind of testing it. You said you all are site zero.
We are.
So what kind of time frame are we looking at? So next summer we invite you back and we say, how's your alligator weed, Dr. Diana?
Well, actually, if you came out to my site right now, you won't see any alligator
Yay!
weed.
All right.
No, because we don't want to lose the thrips.
Right.
So it's called, when people were getting some, or I was dispersing the thrips by taking out some of the alligator weed that had them, I was also trying to put healthy alligator weed into our forebay, which really sounds silly, of saying I need some healthy alligator weed because the thrips were doing such a good job of controlling the plant. So if they came in 2015, I noticed some problems in 16, more problems in 17. Sent it off because, okay, what's going on with it? It's lost all of its leaves by August of last year. And this year we are beyond that point. Beyond the 6 point, and there's nothing really out there. So that's why we were trying to get as much put out this year as we possibly could, because we didn't want to lose our patch.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. Okay. We're going to invite you back next spring.
Okay.
And see how things are going. And again, in true extension fashion, I know you're going to have some new knowledge for us to share. But first and foremost, thank you, because as we look at this upcoming season, and as you said, we've not had a lot of rain this summer, but you never know what's coming next.
You never do.
Thank you for helping us prepare and for getting rid of the alligator weed.
I do have one request, though.
Yes, please.
I'm needing people to look to see if they have the alligator weed
thrips,
because it's hard for me to believe that of all the alligator weed flea beetles that were collected and sent out, that I got the only cup that had it, and that I kept that only cup for our site. So I'm sure other cups that had the thrips were dispersed in the state. And so people who are seeing damage to the alligator weed, the leaves are curled up, looking not very happy, that might be them. And the the thrips, got to get the right insect. The thrips, the adult thrip is only about 2 millimeters in size.
Ooh, so we got to look close.
You sure do, and black.
Okay.
And the juvenile is even smaller, about 1 to 1.5 millimeters, and red. And they like to live right there in that leaf axil, right where the leaf joins in with the stem. So if you sort of peel the stem back a little bit, or the leaf back from the stem a little bit, you might be able to see them in there feeding, right there at the growing tips. And that's where they like to be, on the fresh and tender growth. And so if anybody sees any, I'm really hoping that they'll contact me so that we can put little more pins in the map.
All right, it's time to be a citizen scientist. Look for thrip in your alligator weed, and then reach out to Dr. Diana Rashash at Onslow County Cooperative Extension. Of course, 455-5873. Dr. Diana, thank you as always for always expanding our base of knowledge here in Onslow County.
No problem. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County today, and with me now are two of my favorite people, but people that our viewers don't always get to see. We have Glenn Hatstead from Onslow County ITS and Patricia Pike from Onslow County GIS, but you all are really under one umbrella. You're just one big happy family up there where you are. But our public doesn't always get to meet you all, because you all are what we call internal services. You're making things buzz and whirl and work so that we can serve the public and be out front. But really behind the scenes, you all are like the wizards. So first and foremost, on behalf of those of us who get to be out front but whose stuff always works. Thank y'all.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. And then, because of all that hard work and wizardry that you all do and magic, I don't even know what goes on up there in your magic world, you just got an award.
Yes, we did.
So, Mr. Glenn, first and foremost, tell us, what is this award that you all have just received?
So we just got third place for our population group
Okay.
for the Digital Counties Award. This is a national award.
Wow.
And for our population, 5 population groups.
Okay.
And so in our population group, actually was well represented in North Carolina in general. We came in third. So it's really a pretty high honor because you're competing against other counties throughout the nation.
And Patricia, because you know these numbers much better than most people, what's our general population right now in Onslow County?
Now we're closer to the 200,000.
That is amazing. So, in communities our size, around the 200,000 mark, third place nationally for digital counties. And this award is coming from the National Association of Counties.
The National Association of Counties and the Center for Digital Government.
And the Center for, so folks would say, oh, what does that mean? I mean, digital, I know, the language sounds familiar, but you know, when I see folks who work for the county, I'm seeing somebody typically in person. It's not a kind of a virtual county, but yet what you all do sort of makes it virtual. So what does it mean to be a digital county?
Well, so actually, even though it's primarily a technology award because of the Center for Digital Government, it actually represents what we do as a county as a whole. It's the innovation that's happening across the county. So things that were included in that were the crisis center that the commissioners had as one of their goals. The response for Florence, both what we did as a county for Florence, but also what communications did by bringing in all the news agencies and embedding them with the rescue squads and that kind of thing. And then during the storm, our GIS department actually made an application, an online app, a mobile app, so that citizens could self-report damage to their home. And that was something that was, if you were in the EOC at the time, if you were in the storm control center there, we were on little sleep, right? We'd been there for many days, and on that little amount of sleep, to be able to collaborate and bring those ideas to fruition was just a Herculean effort. It was just wonderful.
You know, and Patricia, I don't want to embarrass you, but I imagine you, I've watched you operate in that EOC for many years now. And it always reminds me when you're at the keyboard and you're calling up things on the screen, you seem to me like a musician. Like, you know, you watch somebody who's a great pianist or somebody play a big pipe organ, and you're just over the keyboards and information is coming at us all the time, and you're documenting things. And then the team that you've cultivated, you've given them a place that says, hey, you're awesome. Let me add one more piece to the puzzle. And that's exactly what you all did in the midst of rain and wind. Your first thoughts went to the citizens. Talk a little bit about your team and how that collaboration to create that app came to be.
Well, part of us were still at the EOC and part were at a hotel. And so the tax administrator, Harry Smith, and Angelia Hagopian were talking about, you know, what after the storm, what could we do to help? You know, what would make it better and easier on our people to get the information. And so they started talking about having the citizens self-report. So from the citizens, you know, aspect of it, those areas that could report it immediately and send in pictures of while it's still, you know, the storm is happening and they're having that damage. And so together, talking back and forth, we're able to come up with the idea, and then when everybody moved over to the EOC, then getting on the computer and using the tools, the magic tools that we have with GIS, to create the application so that it could be released, and then of course with our media, able to release it out to the public during that time so that people could start self-reporting the information.
Again, I mean, for folks who don't know, that was on the fly. You all just came together and saw a need and said, how can we make this work so that when the skies cleared and the roads were open, we could all get back to work as quickly and as expediently as possible. Glenn, you came to us from the Triad about 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
About 4 years ago. When you came here, what was your vision when you met your team and you came here? Could you have imagined, let me ask that, could you have imagined that you all would gel like you have and you produced what you've done, so much so that you've gotten this national award?
Yeah, I mean, really, the team is really amazing. I mean, so I really inherited a phenomenal team, and they're just, I mean, just top notch. I mean, not just the national award. I mean, GIS for that same effort also won a statewide award as one of the most innovative GIS in the state for the next 2 years. And just being around these people just is so inspiring. It's so wonderful. They're just fantastic people, and that just makes it even better.
You know, when we think about technology, I go in and I turn on my PC every morning and I'm like, there it is.
That's right.
It's magic. And I don't really, we're just grateful. Sometimes you all don't get a call until it doesn't appear magically, and then you're like, hey, give me a minute. But talk about the beauty. Sometimes we're hesitant about technology because we think of issues of privacy or we think of issues of cybersecurity. But you have both chosen a career in technology. For what reason? Why did this speak to you?
I like working with people. And everybody needs technology. Everybody's using technology, and so it was a way for me to use some skills that I have to really help people do what they do.
That seems almost counterintuitive. You like to work with technology because we all think about, we're just looking at our devices.
That's right.
But you like it because it's about the people that then benefit from it.
Yeah, we get to use the technology as a tool, as a platform, to solve the issues that the departments are having or that the citizens are having. And it's a wonderful medium because it's changing every day and growing every day. But it also empowers us to be able to do more.
Patricia, you and I have both been with the county a long time. You've seen this evolution probably more than anybody else. And I've never seen anybody who had just gone with the flow like you have. You've just gobbled it up and embraced it. Where does that kind of come from, and what motivates that?
Because it's fun and challenging every day. Just keeping up with the technology is a challenge, but when you see how many people you're helping from what that technology does, then that's fun. That's the good part of it, being able to take, what their idea is and form it into something that lots of people get a benefit out of.
That's why y'all got this award. I'm just going to say that embracing of that and then seeing where it goes next.
Right.
So I have to ask, what's next?
What's next? Well, hopefully another award.
Okay. So I know a lot of what you're doing is, we see about security breaches.
Yes.
You all are on it.
Yes.
Talk about that idea. People are like, I don't want to do that online. What if you steal my identity? Empty out my bank account.
That's right. Yeah, and security is. I mean, there's a breach happening all the time. Today, or the day of the filming here, city,
Yeah, Capital One.
Capital One just got breached. And so that we take security very seriously, and actually that's a big section for that award, is the level of cybersecurity that you employ and that you've deployed. And so we've got multiple layers like everywhere else, but we also have people on our team that are part of a strike force in the state, and they actually have gone to help the other municipalities and counties when they have these problems. They've actually gone and helped them and got them through it, or been part of the team that has.
Our viewers are seeing you all and seeing how much you all love what you do. This isn't just for camera. I have to tell you, you have the most joyful, helpful department that I can imagine. I mean, it's a pure joy working with you all. And when I call in my archaic ways and say, this doesn't work, fix it, please. It's just done.
Like I said, we've got a phenomenal team. They're wonderful, wonderful people, and they're great at what they do, but they're just great people too.
I would encourage you to share, as we are coming, we're looking at the end of the summer season. We're looking at hurricane season. There are things that our citizens can do now to prepare, and one of those is to participate, register with the county to receive notifications. Tell us a little bit more about what they need to do there to get alerts from the county.
Yeah, absolutely. If they go to our website, and at the bottom they'll see on one of the panels that come by the Alert Onslow. And if they register for Alert Onslow, they'll get that notification and they'll get that information about what's going on. There's also an app that they can download called Code Red. Not the Code Red launcher, but the Code Red app, and the same data will get pushed to that app as well.
So again, using technology so that we're all prepared, and so that we can celebrate y'all and you can get another award, right?
I hope so.
Well, thank you all for what you do. Thank you for making us such an extraordinary digital community through communicating and through advancement and through on-the-fly innovative thinking. When I think about those words, I think about Onslow County ITS and GIS. So thank y'all for what you do, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Jason McCrae with Onslow County Parks and Recreation. Jason, first and foremost, thank you for inviting us to hang out at Stump Sound today.
Anytime.
It is such a pretty park, and I love all the pine trees and the playground equipment. We had some visitors earlier who was having a big time. So we really appreciate, and this is one of those parks at the south end of the county that people might not be familiar with.
You're right about that.
So we want to show it off a little bit.
Oh yeah, yes ma'am, yes ma'am.
Well, it's been a long, hot, dry summer, and we've all had a good time, but the school bell's going to be ringing soon, and you all have a big event planned, Jason.
Yes ma'am.
How are you helping us go back to school?
Well, on August 24th, from 11 to 3 p.m., we're actually going to be doing a back to school bash.
Okay.
This is going to be our second one. This year we've kind of put a little bit of a challenge out to staff and all of our neighborhood and community partners to try and get about 500. We're going for 500 book bags with supplies. That's our goal.
500 book bags packed with supplies already?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so what are you looking for? We got our backpack and we're ready to pack it up.
All right, so we want paper, we want pencils, we want color pencils, we would like markers, crayons, glue sticks, scissors, calculators. I don't know what else you need, but
you know what? That's a good start.
Right.
That's such a good start. Anything that we imagine, I mean, who doesn't love and who doesn't want a child to have that brand new pack of crayons where all the points are sharp,
Yes.
and it's got that great crayon smell.
Right.
You break open that new box of crayons and you're like, I'm ready.
that takes me back. Yes, that takes me back.
So, and that's what we want kiddos to say. We want them
Right.
to be ready. And for some of the children in our community, that might be, a roadblock for them, an obstacle,
Right.
because maybe they don't have all of those supplies where they feel like, I'm going to jump in and this school year is going to be it.
Correct.
So you did this last year.
Yes, ma'am.
What sort of things did you hear from the children?
Last year we heard a lot of positive feedback. The only thing that we heard that was negative was just the fact that we ran out of supplies very fast, which we knew that would happen. I want to say we probably ran out within the first 30 minutes of giving out supplies.
Wow.
It was a lot of people that came out and got supplies.
So you've raised the bar.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
and
ma'am.
you're throwing down the gauntlet.
We are.
The challenge is there.
Yes.
500 book bags ready to go.
We're already halfway there now. Yes, we've been working. We've been trying to, again, task out staff. We've been tasking out local community leaders. I'm just trying to get anyone and everyone that wants to donate. I'm giving them that avenue, as well as myself and staff members have still. We've been putting our own money to try and make sure that we can make this happen as well.
All right. So the challenge is there, Jason.
Yes,
We've got 24 days.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pack those backpacks and have these kids ready to go.
Yes.
Now, anything that we need to be mindful of? Do we take them directly to you at Park and Rec, or do you have other drop-off points?
Well, the drop-off points right now have not been fully established, just because we're trying to make sure it's a safe place for people to drop things off.
Sure.
But as of right now, anyone and everyone can drop things off at our office, which is 1244 Onslow Pines Road.
All right, so right out there at your home office,
correct,
so
yes,
to
ma'am.
speak,
Mm-hmm.
the main office for Park and Rec. Bring book bags fully packed and ready to go.
Correct.
Imagining back to when we started school for the first day.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be our bright, shiny faces in all of the right places.
Right.
With our school supplies ready to go.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Jason, thank you for inviting us out,
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for helping our kiddos here in Onslow County get ready to jump into the school year
Mm-hmm.
with everything that they could possibly need to make it the best school year possible. As always, we want to thank you for joining us for Onslow County Today, and a very special thank you to all of our guests who have joined us for this edition. A very special thank you, of course, to Stump Sound Park for inviting us to get out and explore. You know, it's been a long, hot summer, but it's been a great summer to explore your Onslow County today.